this one was tough. I'm not going to be able to do this one with John in there, and I'm not just going to freeze him on the screen while I'm doing it. But I hope, somewhere's out there someday in life somebody gets this message, even if it's not him or somebody personally relative to it. I don't know if I'm an expert on it, but I certainly do a lot of esoterics out there on the internet. And I try to keep track with some of the economic, religious, military standpoints on it, as far as Forbes and CNBC, about what faith or belief is. One of our biggest problems is the church has lied to us so many times, John. And I prefer to use you because, if you're going to use the chosen over here about what it is, well, that's kind of Jesus telling John it's about what it does. Now, again, it's a special narrative here. I'm sure John's poking it a little bit about trying to reestablish what Occam's razor to use about what belief is, because it's hard to understand the kinetics, the momentum behind something like that. Take it from your drill sergeant's perspective of coming in an intro, right? You know that you're supposed to believe, but there's always a bit of hesitant about what that story may reference about eschatology and calculus, right? I just can't go on the church's notation that the Holy Crusade is going to be worth it without the devil juice argument, right? It's just not going to fly. You just can't do that. And I can't rely on the church to be the chosen religion on the way that they are evolution into this system. Moses, into Jesus, into Presbyterian, into everything else that's all getting washed into the Russell 1000, 2000, or 3000 with the core 30 of them in the Dow Industrial. That is a hard thing to say, okay, believe. It'll just work out and for faith reasons in the church. And of course, again, some of the eschatology that goes with that. So why should I believe? Why should I aspect that notation? Well, let's take it back to that drill sergeant and memetics and kinetics here. John, I'm going to assume I go disappearing. You're going to want to come find me. Not because we're friends, not because anything else, that I classify as this regular marshmallow down there and then something in the flavor of John. Some cop or military personnel goes finding out why their bunnies and cows are disappearing for just weird reasons over at the SCP. That I believe. That I believe because there's a reason for people to do that and ask the question, where the natural marshmallow, why is there a void or a power vacuum inside of there? There's a physics to it. We now know what it is, dark energy, some bones down there, electro weak, electro strong, -1 and positive. Again, I know that's the answer. I know without any doubt or uncertainty about that issue that eventually it's going to quantify to some time frequency domain. That is not a question. But getting it there is not something that is, I believe, in the military or church or something like that, and therefore result. Now, I've been in the stone mill and I've gone to a bunch of different stone mills. And again, it brings up a special type of belief, that you're going to have to take my word for this, seeing that you're 18 years old, you can't work heavy machinery or anything yet, and this is your first job to it, that there will come a time when I'm arguing to you, you should just do this because it doesn't matter where you go. It's either worse by ground topology or by virtue of, the competitive nature in here. And call me a liar. Time has changed, but has it changed so much that they figured out when I left those places to whatever else is in the neighborhood? Right, their character's not going to change that much. And if they were in a hard spot praying for it, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to feel that same way when they get out of trouble. And that's to say that it was their own work, their own anthropomorphism of going against the computer and trying to figure out how to do a chessboard, or your first, whatever AI they tried to get you to program into your VA game or whatever, hooking up the VCR, that is a cognitive decoherence experiment. Out of all the people in the house, if I use the one that can program the VCR, I have the potential of getting the best result. Now, I don't know if that's true. This kid that was born into the family, or outside Matthew 20, coming on in, that now that they're a new skill set. But that was the Lagrangian operator between cadet and drill sergeant, right? Like if I model off the drill sergeant long enough here, then I will become some of those actions. Will they be complete at the time? No. But mathematically to the X, where we believe that if the question for board promotions or a prime number in that field correlates to what a result does, well then, like programming the VCR in the house, you'll have a weighted score to explain to why somebody, it's not quite a sociopathic notation as much as it is a Church of the Broken God issue. You know, the weighted score from your perspective and momentum, your helium, from your perspective and your hydrogen and your hydrogen, and what happens when you come together. You fuse, you break apart, you slam into each other, you do come to a full weird state of the universe, pressure and gravity, temperature. You know, it's undeniable that those are the answers, but I can't necessarily always believe that the fact that that exists means that without it being done, the result will correlate. And again, this is that weird notation against where John, being proxy for the church overall, knowing that he's got skills inside here from the poet society standpoint, the militaristic, and that near conversation every time you step next to it in a field of sunshine with Kentucky Ballistic, right? Backtracking that 50 cal slap around for negligent discharges in a field of sunshine. You know, that's going to correlate to why the prime, why we have those larger beta states, the Pope, that, you know, Virginia Fox over at the Senate, you know, because I'd ask the question, John, I mean, yeah, sure, it's not your back door. I can understand you going against Cruz, but boy, isn't that the walk? Well, anyways, that was a note I wanted to bring into here.